The Broncos are most definitely back after that huge win. We are back just after 12 hours after wrapping up the post-game show. Kareem Jackson is back after his suspension, and the vibes couldn't be better in Broncos country.
It's a great feeling this morning after going back and watching the game. And just remembering how good it felt for the Broncos to get that win. And they're riding on cloud nine right now. I think the sky's the limit for them. And we'll talk about, what their season should look like from here on out. But definitely, when you look at the schedule, there's not a game left that the Broncos shouldn't have the confidence that they can go in there and win. So, sky's the limit in my opinion.
What a turnaround from a month ago when the Broncos were 1-5, and we looked at the schedule and said, is there any game that the Broncos are going to be favored in? And legitimately, the odds makers would have said no to that answer outside of maybe the Packers game. We said after that one, the Broncos aren't going to be favored in any game. And now, Todd, you're 100% right. After you beat the Bills on the road and the Chiefs at home, there's no game that you should go into. The Broncos will be underdogs in at least a couple of these games throughout the rest of the season. But there's no game that you go into and say, no shot. No shot. Now, Detroit's going to be a tough game.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. There's going to be tough games on the schedule, but games that you absolutely can't win? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, definitely. You still look, and I think they have the 12th hardest schedule remaining in the NFL. But still, you go through and look at the teams. In theory, the toughest game is the Lions, and then the Browns, and then the Vikings, then the Texans, then the Raiders. Like those... That tails off really quickly, and those are supposed to be the 5 hard games that they have left, the 5 teams over 500. So, yeah, the strength of schedule definitely doesn't look as good as the actual teams remaining.
But Henry, how about this? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I guess, before the Broncos played the Chiefs, the Broncos had the hardest strength of schedule at the remaining of the season. They got their 2 hardest games out of the way, and they won both of them. So now it's actually a lot easier compared to what it was 3 weeks ago.
Definitely. But yeah, I'm curious. It's a big stretch. Like, you could win any of these games. You could also lose any of these games. And so we'll see exactly where the Broncos fit into the NFL between now and the end of the season.
So in the second segment, we're going to talk about, is it playoffs or bust for the Broncos, just like Sean Payton wanted it to be at the beginning of the season? I think, Todd, the way the vibes I'm getting, you feel a little optimistic, and I'm wondering if Hank is going to be a hater Hank in the second. And the third...
I don't get... So many people were tagging me on Twitter yesterday saying, like, ha ha, suck it, hater Hank. And I was like, what are you talking about? I picked them to win. I made a whole bunch of money last night.
Let's go. Let's
people.
go. In the third, we're going to get the inside scoop with Todd to see just how the Broncos pulled off that game. But I said the Broncos are back. They're back in the season. They're one game out of the playoffs. They're actually not physically back from Buffalo yet, though. They were supposed to stay in Buffalo last night, so that wasn't a surprise. But then today, their plane is malfunctioning, so they actually have not left Buffalo. I think they're about to leave, though, now. I was told it wasn't a big deal, but this guy's probably want to get home. They've been gone for a long time.
Yeah, it's about time to get home. Everybody's wives are still waiting for them to celebrate and get to see their kids, so I know they're anxious to get home, so... Hopefully they get back soon.
They get back soon, and then tomorrow they have an off day. We'll see what that means for us in store. But Henry, we haven't talked to you since the game last night. We did see an appearance from you when you shotgunned a beer. Have you recovered? Because you were wet.
I was really wet because of that. Yeah, that's not a strength of mine. Yeah, I was going through. I'm not like hungover today, but I was like, I'm not like an A+ version of myself, and I was like, I had 2 beers, I had a tiny bit of that whiskey. I was like, what else? And I was like, oh yeah, the shotgun at the end.
Well, you shotgun like 1/4 of the beer.
You did.
That's fair.
The rest was
still in.
Oh, it's still on the carpet.
Are those the same pants as last night? Well,
no, they're still probably all soggy.
Pants get soggy?
Don't ask him. I was the one who just got soggy pants
I've
yesterday.
only
Yes,
heard
they do.
Food gets soggy.
No, they got
You can
soggy.
soil your pants.
I did not though.
But
Or was that his cover up? He did soil his pants, and then he decided to, dump beer on it as a cover up.
Down in the bar, so Kylie and Spencer brought the baby. With about a minute left in the game, the baby pooped all over Spencer. So he watched the last minute of the game, like just covered in baby shit.
Oh, like not even in a diaper.
Well, I mean, some was probably still in there, but a lot of it was not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that just happen in parenthood, Todd?
Yeah. I don't even know how babies do it, but they manage, I think, like at least 2 out of every 10 diapers. Like the babies just miss the diaper. Like the diaper's on and the diaper's secure, but they just find a way
That is
to
impressive.
get around that diaper.
Have you heard of like when people that don't know sports or aren't watching the sport, it's like a popular social media thing where they hear like announcers talking about the sport, and a lot of times it's like sexual and stuff, and it's like, whoa, that's weird that it sounds like that, but like to people that are watching the sport, you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And
Like when you said I was all wet.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. That happened with my wife and I with blowouts just this past week. They were talking about blowouts on the TV blast. She's like, it's just like a baby when they just poop everywhere and it gets everywhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, I would never think of that while watching the sport.
No.
Wow, that is crazy.
There's some guy. No, I won't go. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize that I hadn't like shared my thoughts.
Do you want to?
Yeah, but I don't honestly have a lot. I think it was just like a good win. It looked a lot like how the Broncos have won when they've won in the past. It's the defense winning, the offense putting the defense in good situations, and just kind of complimentary football. That's kind of how they've won for the past like 5 years whenever they've won games. And something Sean said a lot is you have to learn how to win a whole bunch of different types of games. So we know that they can do that. Yeah, you get turnovers, you don't turn the ball back over to the other team. They haven't always done it when they get the opportunities, but not to say that doesn't make me more excited for like the future of this team. Any win against the Bills, especially on the road, is a great win.
Yep.
But there are going to be games where you're going to need the offense to score a bunch of touchdowns, to have multiple 75-yard touchdown drives, to win games 31-28 instead of kind of grinding one out like this. So I feel good about it, but it did look a lot like the old Broncos.
Yeah.
An old Broncos team that did win, though.
When you say old team, what are you talking about?
When Todd played.
Yeah, well, with that
That's
team,
basically
the
the
good old
era.
days.
with that
the
team,
Todd Davis era.
You say that the Broncos are going to have to eventually do it on offense, and probably, but there are defenses that come around.
There are.
Once a decade, like the defense you were on, Todd, where you think that you're like, this isn't sustainable. Yet every single week, the defense goes out and wins the game, and does it. Quarters 1 through 4, comes up with the big play in the fourth quarter. Whatever it is, they just find a way to win. And the way the Broncos defense has played these past 2 weeks, you don't need the offense to do more. Now, you want the offense to do more, certainly, but maybe this defense is just that good. And 9 takeaways, 8
That's
from
crazy.
the defense
Crazy.
in the past 2 weeks. And Todd, you said after the Chiefs game, like the Broncos forced 5 takeaways, 4 on defense against the Chiefs. You said that's not going to continue to happen. And I completely agree with you. But they went out and got 4 yesterday. I mean, it is insane. And that was against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I know Josh Dobbs is hot right now, but he was just traded for a pick swap about 10 days ago.
Yeah.
If they're doing this to Mahomes and Allen, what could they do to Josh Dobbs and these other quarterbacks coming up?
Yeah, it's very interesting, man, because I know that the turnovers are our key to success. And I want us to be able to ride the wave because at some point we're not going to get 4 turnovers. I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we get 4 turnovers every game and we just ride off into the sunset. But, I kind of start thinking about like the 49ers and how well they started off the season. And they were getting a lot of turnovers. And then all of a sudden they stopped getting turnovers and things kind of like hit a brick wall.
Yep.
And Brock Purdy didn't know how to adjust, and then the team kind of just fell off. But I feel like we're in a better position than them as a team. But I definitely want to see us like execute at a high level when we don't have 4 turnovers. But if we can average 1 to 2 a game, I think we'll still have a very good chance of winning, really the remainder of our schedule.
Did you just say the Broncos are in a better position than the 49ers?
I feel like they have
As
more
a team,
answers.
I think as a team, because the 49ers, They lost a couple people to injuries. I think for us, we're pretty healthy as a team. And I think we are, getting better as the season progresses.
Just think about that. The 49ers started the season 5-0. The Broncos started the season 1-5. For you to be able to say that and not be absolutely crazy, just think about the turnaround that's happened. That's insane because it seemed like the 49ers were the best team in the NFL. It seemed like they were going to run the table. There's some people saying maybe the 49ers do run the table, go 17-0. And now the Broncos, it's not crazy to say that, Todd.
I got to get some more hot takes. What's that? We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Super Bowl. We're there.
I think that I found a better way to explain it. There will be games where when you get to the 45-yard line and it's a 4th and 6, the offense needs to go for that. Because the analytics say in that situation you should go for it. And a few times last night they punt those balls away. They get across the 50, and one was because it kind of moved backward. But in this sort of game, this defensive game where you trust your defense to not let the Bills go all the way down the field, the offense doesn't have to try to convert a 4th and 5 there. But in a game against the Lions, if that offense is clicking, in those situations, that's where you might need the offense to be able to step up and convert and keep drives alive and keep moving.
Well, how about it, though? 4th and 2, second quarter, the Broncos only up 3 points, up 3-0, decide to go for it on 4th and 2 from, their 5 or their 10 or something like that. And Sean Payton said, I asked him today, and he said, I had no doubt about it. We were going to go for it. We had a great play call. And midway through that play, I wish I decided to kick the field goal because it looked so bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
But, Russ should have been sacked. Russ should have been chased down after already being sacked. He throws just a ridiculously perfect pass where it needed to be. The degree of difficulty was incredible. And Courtland Sutton comes down with the catch of the year, arguably. According to Next Gen Stats, that had a 3.1% chance of being completed. It's the most improbable play that's ever happened since they started tracking things in 2016. And there's certainly some luck to that, some skill as well. But you do need some luck. You do need some balls to bounce your way because the Bills also literally had the ball bounce their way, and they weren't able to take advantage of that when James Cook's fumbled right back into his arms. The Broncos didn't get all the breaks yesterday, but they still just found a way to win.
I know. That's what I was down there talking about it during the game. It felt like even though the Broncos had gotten so many turnovers, they were actually getting bad bounces. Like, the ball was bouncing the other way for the most part last night. And maybe by the end, you look at a couple things and say, it evened out. But it seemed like they got some bad luck in that game and still figured out. Kind of like you said, they didn't play their A game. They had way more opportunities that they didn't take advantage of and were still good enough. And I guess it's mostly on the back of those turnovers to come away with a win, which is pretty ridiculous coming out of Buffalo.
Yeah, and just speaking of fighting through adversity and when things don't go your way to persevere, that sack that Russell Wilson had on the Broncos' final drive to make it 2nd and 20 totally takes the team out of field goal range. Yep. That is one where the team last year crumbles. Yep. The team in weeks 1 through 6 crumbles. They don't overcome that. Russ probably gets sacked a second time or throws 2 incompletions and the game's over, or they try a 70-yard field goal and it falls 10 yards short. Not this team, and this is finding ways to win, from just draining clock out when they need to then having this massive drive that they need to. And there's a little help with some 12 men on the field, definitely. And one thing that we didn't really talk about yesterday, which was the main talking point in Sean Payton's press conference this morning, the day after the game, that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Were you worried at all about the way Sean Payton handled the end of the game when he decided to run the clock out, have Buffalo burn their timeouts, and the way it ended up was Sean Payton to run the clock all the way out. He took a knee on 3rd down. Buffalo didn't have any timeouts, so the clock was running all the way. The Broncos had to send their hurry-up, hurricane, kick team, whatever you want to call it, out on the field. And so it's not like they had unlimited time. Was that something that worried you? Because it wasn't something that we talked about.
No, I think it was the right move. I think when you look at, like I said, that gunslinger of a quarterback, if he has time towards the end of the game, you're always nervous. I think I was more so nervous for them to get the ball back. So I love the game plan to really run the clock out, and they had plenty of time. Even though we call it hurry up, they weren't like rushed.
Yeah.
I feel like, because even when they kicked it, there was still 4 seconds left on the clock. They had plenty of time to get done what they needed to get done. So I thought it was the right move. I think it was an excellent game plan, because had they given Josh Allen the ball back with 30 seconds left, and then you only got to get to the 45-yard line, like, that's a scary scenario.
Well, and Sean brought up the playoff game against the Vikings when Stephon Diggs did exactly that against him. You have Stephon Diggs, like, you're playing with fire in the NFL when you give teams a chance at the very end of games, especially when it's Josh Allen. I mean, it is a tough decision. It is plenty of time, and it's something that happens pretty often. I mean, how often does a drive end with a running play, running clock for some reason, and you've got to get the kick team out there? Like, that's typically like half of the time, half of the field goals, you're running the kicking unit on there. Like, it's rare you're calling a timeout before the kick. The difference being,
you're not running them out there, but you're having them go out there.
Exactly. Like, there is that running clock. The difference, though, is that instead of a 40-second clock, it's like the 27-second clock. Now, if it takes 17 seconds to make the change, and you look at it from a purely like cold, rational, like math look, like, that's enough time, it's obviously the right decision. Then you just have to throw in, like, do you worry about your kicker being flustered? On the flip side, do you feel like, as Sean said, you don't give him as much time to think about it, and that might feel a little bit better, just saying, like, yep, just go out there, kick the ball, and we're good. There's no standing over it. There's no waiting. There's none of that. I do think that they rushed that kick, though.
Yeah.
Like, there was more time for them to kind of settle down for a second. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting decision.
But if it's done right and you're running the ball, you really should only be running on 4 guys, because you have 5 linemen and 2 tight ends already in the game. You're only switching out a quarterback, 2 receivers, and maybe a running back. Like, it should be like a pretty easy swap.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what Sean, I mean, at one point, Sean, you could almost hear him laugh, be like, this isn't as difficult as you guys are making it seem. This is one of the first things we practice in training camp. It's only a situation that you see, once every, maybe once a year, once every 2 years. Just weird that we saw it twice in one game last night with the Broncos. But he said this is something that we're very comfortable with. He said the cutoff time is about 17 seconds. That's what you need. And the Broncos had 24 seconds. Yeah. So they had an extra 7 seconds. And like you said, Todd, they also had an additional 4 seconds or 3 seconds because they kicked it early, that maybe they do practice again this week and they realize, okay, let's take one more breath. And then also something that happens with this is if you practice it enough, you shouldn't be stuck with 10 men on the field or 12 men on the field. But clearly, if it could get the other team in trouble if they don't practice it enough, and that's exactly what happened with the Bills. So if, let's say, the Broncos decide to spike the ball and kick the field goal with 24, 30 seconds left, not only would that give the Bills the ball back if the Broncos make it, but that probably allows the Bills to send 11 guys out there on the field. And then what happens if Wil Lutz still misses the kick? Well, then the Broncos instantly lose the game. So, I mean, like, it played perfectly into the Broncos' hands in so many ways. And I just got the feeling that because so many media members were asking about it to Sean today, that a lot of Broncos fans were freaking out about that. So I wanted to test how you guys felt, because I wasn't worried. It didn't look like they were rushing it at all.
No, they know what they're doing. They got it under control. It's funny for me because the Bills, I don't know how you get caught in that situation. Like, when the offense practices it, we're practicing it as the defense to defend it.
Yeah.
It's a really good point.
Well, it is what it is.
I think that this is probably the most mad Sean Payton has ever been at Wil Lutz, because if Will just makes that first kick, nobody's ever talking about it. Nobody's saying, like, did Sean Payton almost cost him a game? Like, was this a terrible decision? Like, that storyline doesn't even exist if Wil Lutz just makes that kick.
Yeah.
So, I would not want to be Will around Sean Payton this week.
Well, I don't know. Will might be Sean Payton's favorite player in that building. I think
maybe not anymore.
Especially, he made it at the end. I'm curious how he talks about him this week, though. Yeah. And man, at one point near the end of the game, over at Bet365, the odds for the Broncos to win jumped to plus 720. And I think a couple of people smashed it, and it immediately fell to like plus 220. And then I believe as the Broncos were driving down the field, it got to like plus 150, plus 110. Right before Russell Wilson sacked, the Broncos were minus 150. And then the sack happened. Broncos jump up to plus 140. And then obviously from there on, the Broncos, the odds continue to go down. If you want to follow those live odds, check out our friends over at Bet365, where they have a deal where if you place a straight bet for your parlay and the winner goes up by 17 points, it doesn't matter if the team blows it. And so let's say you bet the Bears money line against the Broncos, your bet would have paid out.
Or the Broncos money line against the Commanders.
It's very true. Both of those bets would have hit in a parlay despite the team coming back and losing. That's just one of the perks of Bet365. And you can get $20 or more on same-game parlays. You get a free $10 bonus bet if you place a $20 bet of a same-game parlay or any NFL Sunday game. So check them out. Use the code DNVR365 over at sign up over at Bet365.com. Must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And if you're ready to turn your goals into greatness, check out our friends over at MSU Denver, the Road Runners. Go Road Runners.
Let's go.
They have courses available both online and in person. They have 90-plus majors, or you can create your own. You can achieve your goals at an affordable education. Degrees range from business to hospitality, aviation to the arts, education to healthcare. You can start or restart your college education at MSU Denver. Actually, spring 2024 applications are open, so check them out at msudenver.edu.
All right, we've also got one awesome thing. We've told you guys about Splash Sports before, but now we're in on Splash Sports. In fact, all of us are all in on it from now until the end of the season. You're going to find Todd's picks over at splashsports.com/DNVR. You're going to find Henry's picks, and you're going to find my picks. We're going to participate with you guys. So go to splashsports.com/DNVR for their Pick'em League, and here's how it works. It's $20 an entry. We're doing that as well. Up to 400 people can get in on this, and the winner, if we can get 400 people, the winner gets $5,000. Second place gets $1,400. Almost $1,500. That was tough. Third place gets $720, and then fourth and fifth place will get free DNVR merch, and we're gonna give payouts each week as well. So roll with us. Get in splashsports.com/DNVR. Each week, you're going to give your weekly picks for who's going to win in the NFL. We're going to be there so you can see how you stack up against us. Think we're stupid when we give out our AFC West picks? Join in splashsports.com/DNVR, or you can click the link in our description. This is going to be a fun one, so make sure to be rolling with us. Okay, playoffs. Sean Payton said before the beginning of the season that he was going to be pissed off if this wasn't a playoff team. Boy, did he look silly at 1-5 a month ago. But since the Broncos haven't lost, we mentioned it last night, the Broncos at 4-5 are one game out of the playoffs. After this coming week, the Broncos play the Browns, who are currently in the playoff mix. They play the Texans, who currently have that final playoff seed. They get the Chargers twice, who are going to be in that mix, sitting with the Broncos at 4-5. They're going to get the Raiders one more time, who are one game above them. Should the Broncos' expectations right now not be like, can they make the playoffs? Because hell yeah, they can. They're one game back. Should it be playoffs or bust?
I think so. That should be their mentality. I think anytime you hold, the fate of your season in your hands, your mentality has to be kind of to shoot for the moon. And I think that they have the capacity to do it at this point, and they're just getting better each week. So why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not us?
It kind of depends on what you mean by bust, though. Does bust mean this doesn't work, we're tearing it down, moving on from receivers, moving on from Russell Wilson.
Failure of the season.
I think it's always a failure. I think it's always a failure if you don't make the playoffs. So yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to be looking at the playoffs.
I don't think that the past 7 years it's always been a failure if the Broncos don't make the playoffs. I think at some point, unfortunately, the Broncos' expectations changed. This team, this organization for decades was Super Bowl or bust. Todd, when you got here in 2014 and in 2015, even in 2016, it's like eyes on the Super Bowl. If you don't win it, it is a disappointing season. But after 7 straight losing seasons, having the longest drought tied with the Jets for missing the playoffs, I think it changes to like, I thought this year the expectations were like
winning record.
Okay.
Or close to it, 8-9. That's enough of an improvement. You feel good, but winning record really would have been a success. But now you're here.
Yep.
Now you're one game out. Now you're the second hottest team in the NFL. Now you're the hottest team in the AFC. You're tied with the Eagles for the second longest winning streak. The Eagles in the NFL right now. And you just beat the Bills and the Chiefs. After the Packers game, we all rightfully sat here and was like, this changes nothing about this team. After that win, it was still like they're in tank mode more than they are playoff mode. But you beat the Chiefs. You beat the Bills. Yeah, absolutely. I think this should be playoffs or bust. I think right now, if the Broncos don't make the playoffs, it's going to be disappointing from where they are.
Yeah, especially from where they are, from where they came from. Like, they're the laughingstock of the NFL for a couple weeks, man. And to get to this point, to really have changed the defense around, like I've never seen this kind of shift happen. No. So at this point, I think it is playoffs or bust because they have done so much work, so much good coaching. Like, and that was just 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I think in another 5 weeks, we should be in a very, very comfortable position.
And you know what? That's kind of the mentality that the players are taking too. Not just like the expectations are playoffs. And we heard Javonte Williams after beating the Chiefs said, playoffs? No, we're looking at a Super Bowl run. And a lot of people rolled their eyes, might not be rolling their eyes as much now. But Russell Wilson after the game yesterday, he said these past couple of weeks we've been playing some really good teams. To beat the Chiefs, to beat the Bills sets the standard of who we should be and who we can be and who we're going to be. And then today, talking to Alex Singleton, some guys after the game last night, they're saying, yeah, we're playing some really good football. We're beating some good teams, but we still have a long way to go. So the players aren't satisfied with where they are right now. And I think that just shows to exactly what the mentality is of this team.
I mean, they have a really long way to go. I mean, 4-5 is not a good record. 4-5, if you're just like an average team, you're saying you're 4-5, you're disappointed. Like, it's just because the Broncos have kind of gone on this run that compared to 1-5, 4-5 is incredible.
So really quick, to put that in perspective, the Chargers are 4-5. How do you think they're feeling?
Not good.
Awful, yes.
How are the Bills feeling? They're 5-5.
Yeah, they're feeling really bad.
Exactly.
Now, to flip it, how are the Raiders feeling? They're 5-5, just like the Bills.
They're feeling good.
They're feeling a lot
pretty good.
better than the Bills, aren't they? Yeah. So, I mean, the Broncos and Raiders trending in the right direction.
Yep.
And these other teams have been just very disappointing because of the up and down, where the Broncos were about as down bad as you can be. Now they're second hottest team.
And I think it matters who you beat to have your wins. Because I know certain teams out there have good records, but they haven't beat teams with a winning record yet. So I think for the Broncos to come out and beat two of the, I guess, powerhouse teams in the NFL back-to-back, that 4-5 is very different than the other 4-5s out there in the NFL.
Definitely. But you look through, like the New York Times, their projections, they have the Broncos with a 10% chance to make the playoffs. ESPN has their football power index, their advanced stat. They have a 5.9% chance the Broncos make the playoffs. It's a big uphill battle still to go.
What was the projection that the Broncos beat the Chiefs? What
exactly.
was the stats that the Broncos beat the Bills?
It was like 12%.
They're like 7 point underdog.
Exactly.
What about a parlay of those two?
Yeah,
what would that have been? What would those odds have been?
Yeah.
Plus $1 million.
Definitely.
Yep. And I mean, speaking of odds, over at Bet365, the Broncos to make the playoffs, they're sitting right at about plus 550. So the odds still say, the odds, he's pulling it out. The odds still say, you're not making the playoffs. But I think these odds and the statistics, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think they take into account the 1-5 start, the historically bad defensive start, the massive turnaround the defensive had, the 3-game win streak, the 2 opponents that the Broncos just beat. I think they take into account like the 4-5 record. And that's kind of what we're talking about is the Broncos 4-5 is a lot different, in my opinion, than the Chargers 4-5. And they probably give the Chargers a better chance of making the playoffs. And I wouldn't do that right now. I give the Broncos a better chance because of what they've done, the momentum they have. Right now, I think the Broncos are making the playoffs. I think it's more likely than not that the Broncos are playing their first playoff game since you were there, Todd, in 2015, since the Super Bowl.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is on that one. I agree with you.
I mean, I like the bet at 5 plus 525.
So you gonna take it?
Oh, I'll take that one. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd take the even odds that Zach is throwing out there. That seems a little bit crazy to me, but yeah, I mean, they're playing good football. Like I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're 4-5. There's a bunch of teams right there. The numbers just are not in their favor at this point. But the fact that they're just alive and playing competitive football games, like that's a huge accomplishment on its own.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any of us thought that they'd be at this point playing games that actually matter. Remember, we were talking about that Chiefs game, the Chiefs games and the Raider game. Those are the only games that matter the rest of the season. Now, all of a sudden, that is just not true. We were wrong. I wrote that the season's dead.
Dang.
Nobody's thrown that to like old takes exposed or anything like that.
I will tell you the one thing that scares me, though.
Okay.
The only thing that scares me is the run defense.
Yeah.
I think that is the last piece of the puzzle that we have to clean up.
Yeah.
Because if we get into a situation where we're not getting turnovers and teams are able to run the ball on us, I think that last night looks very different if James Cook doesn't fumble on the first play.
Yep.
Because then I think they're feeding him the whole night, and he's having a great night. As opposed to the night that he had, which was he still had over 100 yards as a rusher.
Yeah,
and
12 carries, 109
and
yards.
they sat him for a long time. Like, they were pissed. He was sitting on the sideline, so at least like midway to the second quarter. Oh, wow. So I do feel like that's like the last piece of the puzzle. But overall, especially with the pass defense, I feel pretty good about the team. But run defense is so important.
It's come and gone, yeah.
Well,
there have been too many times where it's disappeared. And last night was one of them.
The Broncos' run defense was historically bad. We had never seen this bad of a Broncos run defense. In fact, we had never seen this bad of a run defense for a 3-game stretch in NFL history. They gave up over 750 yards in a 3-game stretch earlier this season. Then it all of a sudden just changed and was like great. And last night, just like you guys said, they gave up almost 200 rushing yards, and there's a reason that the Bills fired their offensive coordinator this morning.
Yeah.
It probably to take a little bit of heat off Josh Allen, but it's because Josh Allen was really bad last night. And James Cook was great outside of the fumble, which is big, but he was great. 10 yards per carry, and you only rush him 12 times?
Whoa.
What are you doing?
They're putting Latavius in there, and Latavius is running for 7.6 a carry.
Yeah. And so how many times did they run?
He was running through the mud.
They had 26 carries, 26 passes.
You got to run more than that.
That's dead even, though. That's like...
If you're averaging 8 yards per carry, it should not be dead even. If you're running for 5 yards per carry, sure, you can make the case it could be even.
But just how often do you see a team run more than they pass in a game at this point?
The past 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, the Broncos have. I mean, that's just so rare.
And Todd, do you want the good news or the bad news when it comes to run defense for the Broncos?
Let's start with the good news.
Let's start with the good news. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings, their opponent next week, and their opponent in 3 weeks, which is who is it? Why can't I think? It's the Vikings, Browns, and then
Lions.
No, it is
Lions
not the
are
Lions.
after?
It is Lions are in like 5 weeks from now. Oh my gosh.
Is it Chargers?
The Chargers are in 4 weeks from now.
Patriots, Browns,
this is
Texans. Bad. I guess I have the thing right here.
Texans. That's
okay.
it. So the Browns and the Texans. So 2 of the next 3 opponents, not the Browns. The Vikings and the Texans, 2 of the next 3 opponents are bottom 10 rush teams.
Good.
They don't run well. They don't even like to run. The Vikings are really bad running the ball outside Josh Dobbs, which we'll talk about tomorrow and Thursday. They don't try. So I think that really helps the Broncos. Bad news is the Browns, even without Nick Chubb, second best rushing team in the NFL. So if the Broncos want to win that game, they can't be allowing 200 rushing yards, because you know what? If they're allowing 10 yards per carry, 8 yards per carry, they're not going to run 26 times and pass 26 times. They're going to run the ball 40 times and pass 12 times to not let Deshaun Watson turn the ball over. And speaking of odds really quick, how about this? The 4-5 Broncos over at Bet365 plus 525 to make the playoffs. The Chargers, who also have a 4-5 record, plus 210 to make the playoffs. The value is not even close. Broncos way more valuable. It's just because Justin Herbert, he's been getting all this hype all year, so people just still want to bet on the name. How about this, though? The Raiders, who are 1 game better than the Broncos, or have 1 more win than the Broncos, Vegas just hates the Raiders, which is awesome. Plus 700. They have worse odds of making the playoffs than the Broncos. And then those Bills, who the Broncos just beat, plus 175.
Wow.
People want to believe in the Bills. People want to believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting with all those. There's just so much that goes into it. hopefully, like if you're making the bets, hopefully everything is skewed against the Broncos because of that Dolphins game. Like that's kind of just the question with all of the models and all of that stuff is how much weight they put into that and how quickly does it fade away? Like how quickly are they just looking at like the last 3 games, the last 5 games, so it is interesting with all that stuff.
So Henry, are the Broncos going to make the playoffs?
No. I mean, they're 4-5. Like they're sitting right here. I can't say yes. I can't say it's better than 50-50, but I mean, they're alive. They have a chance. The opportunity's right there for them. 5-1 odds, I'll take the bet.
Where would you not take the bet? What odds? 2-1?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
3-1?
I think the 3-1's right around that line.
3-1. Okay,
Yeah.
so you do like the 500 value,
Yeah.
but you don't like the 50-50.
No.
Todd, you taking the 50-50? Because I'll take it. I think they make it.
Remember, you picked the Bills this week. You gotta recover
You
from
just
that.
had to say that.
I just
We
want to
were
get that
way
out there.
past that.
Oh yeah, which
I was
means
on the positive train.
you're officially a hater and not a realist too. Wow, that's tough. That's tough.
You're not gonna get these people to turn against me. These are my people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
50-50 is tough. I love the 500.
I love the 500.
I love it.
Would you like 200? 2-1.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
So
it's
you
tough.
like
It
it
was
more
close.
than Henry, and I like them the most to make the playoffs. And man, for this playoff run, you're going to want some Breckenridge Distillery. We've got it on our set as always, and they've got multiple types of whiskey that you can try. Bourbon, I should say. They've got the Ed McCaffrey blend, the Alfred Williams blend, and if you want to try both of these, go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com. Check out your local
have
liquor
spoken.
store to find it, and you can vote. And they're also giving you 2 tickets, giving away 2 tickets to the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite, which is so cool. It's like unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and you get to go to the Broncos game. They're giving away those tickets for the New Year's Eve game. No better way to celebrate New Year's than by going to see the Broncos beat the Chargers in a meaningful game, which it looks like it's going to be. Getting free, unlimited alcohol and food, and then just kicking your night off for the new year like that. So how you get in, post a picture to Instagram and Facebook using the hashtag Broncos Bourbon. They're going to select their winners on December, or they're narrowing it down on December 1st. So get in on that and check out BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
And if you're going to that game, you're going to want some Shady Rays because even in December, it's ridiculously sunny here. It's actually almost brighter in the winter because you get the snow, and so you get like the reflections and all that. Shady Rays is awesome. They're super affordable sunglasses that are polarized. They feel like they should be way more expensive. They're an independent company. It's a world-class product. We all wear them here. And they've got durable frames, clear optics, all of that sort of stuff. They've got all the different styles that you could be looking for. So if you're like looking for a pair just to keep in your car, because it is Colorado, that's a great idea. You can actually get 50% off, though, if you buy 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. So you can head down to their store at the Park Meadows Mall, or you can just go to shadyrays.com and use that code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more pairs.
So, Todd, how good was the Broncos Super Bowl 50 defense?
Pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty like not just one of, if not the best defense in Broncos history, but one of the best defenses of all time.
Yeah.
The Broncos defense in the past 2 games has done something that not even that group did, forcing 4 turnovers in back-to-back games. It's the first time they've done that since 1991 and 1992, which is wild. None of us were born then. If they did it in the 91 season.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, I was born 92.
Yeah,
Wow.
me too. And Henry was born in 2002?
97.
Oh, 97. Okay.
Yeah,
almost,
I'm not a child.
That just shows how insane this defense has been. And what makes it even crazier is just they give up 70 points in week 3. Just wild. Quick PSA. Did any of you guys park on the street?
No.
Okay, good, because it's street sweeping. Wanted to make sure. Gonna have to send you out to move the car
Good.
if so. But good,
That's-
we don't have to
yeah.
worry about that. Instead, Todd, what comment was pulled up on the screen earlier?
Something about Hank being a hater.
Yeah, another one of those.
Hater, Hank back at it again.
Also just got tagged in the Old Takes Exposed.
This is how.
but
because
the
I brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
There
essentially
we go.
asked people to do
Basically did. Yeah. There we go. What a day.
I'll show you guys I'm not a hater. Look, I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Boom.
So I'm giving away 2 tickets to this Vikings-Broncos game. We're going to post a video after the show telling you guys how to get it, but it's going to be 2 free tickets, and we're going to give out 2 tickets to the tailgate and a PS2 shirt. Hank ain't did nothing for you guys, but I got you guys covered.
Wow.
Don't worry.
Wow.
Watch out for the video. It's going to be 2 free tickets, and you won't want to miss the Broncos beat the Vikings.
Are you kidding me, Todd? This is the coolest thing.
Got you guys.
And you talked about this like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, why are you doing it? You're just like, love the people, want to do it. So it's just come from the kindness of your heart. That's the coolest thing.
That is the coolest thing.
Hank, you want to open up your wallet?
Come on, Hank. You want all that money off the Broncos?
I haven't found my wallet. My wallet's been missing for like 4 days.
Wow.
I think I left it in
sounds
Westminster.
Like excuses.
Well, that is my excuse for now, yes. We'll work on something for the future.
All right, guys. So
now.
I'm doing a giveaway. If you find Hank's wallet, you get to keep everything inside of
What?
it.
No,
That's
that's so generous. Oh my goodness.
He's not generous.
For all that generosity coming from Todd, hit us with a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. We got to 1,000 likes yesterday. Hank spoiled himself. No, what'd you say?
I didn't spoil. I didn't soil.
You
I didn't do
soggied
shit.
yourself?
No. Yeah, I got soggy. Yes.
Yes,
Oh
you
my
got
goodness.
soggy because of it. Hit us with some thumbs up. We really, really appreciate it.
You know what you could do?
What?
I was just checking out Bet365. You parlay the Broncos make the playoffs with the Nuggets beat the Clippers tonight. Clippers never win with like the 0-4 with Harden.
Yep.
It's plus 872.
Wow. How about
Just steal
that?
extra juice.
Man, those are the weird bets you like.
Yeah.
You like taking like a future bet and doing it with something tonight.
Yeah. 872 is great.
Yeah?
You know, 572 is, or 525 is nice, but it's not crazy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true. So there's a wild Hank bet. All right. Let's get into something I know everyone loves. Let's get into the inside scoop.
do
Todd
it.
can break down another winning performance with us. One of my favorite segments of the week, where Todd gives us the nitty gritty on how the Broncos pulled off the 7.5 point upset here. Todd, where are we starting with this one?
This is going to be the play that really, I guess the second play that really got the game going. This is the interception by Justin. Just creating a big play. You know, they're playing a version of cover 3 once again. I think the Bills do a great job of creating this nice little pocket for Josh Allen, but it doesn't matter because we have the best safety in the entire NFL in the back end. And this is how picks happen. Is this the next play? Is this the right play?
Same play, but it's like different POV.
Look at you here getting nice with it.
Look what a win does.
Exactly. So this is how picks come. I mean, you got tips and overthrows. What I really like on this play is they're playing a version of cover 3. So you got this hook player and Alex Singleton, and he does a great job of reading his eyes. So I think Josh Allen, he actually rifles this ball more than he wants to because he has time if he wants to, you know, put it on Gabe Davis without it being a rifle. But he absolutely zips this thing in there because Alex Singleton was playing hook over here and floats his body back off the eyes of Josh Allen, which is what they teach you in cover 3, reading good eyes. And I think that is why the ball was fired so hard and Gabe Davis wasn't able to hang on to it. And the end result was Justin Simmons getting the interception. And I think these are huge plays because the Bills are driving on this drive.
Yep.
They're making good yards. They're putting plays together. And if we don't get this interception, this is at least 3 points for the Bills. And then who knows, we might lose this game. But because of interceptions, because of turnovers, we find a way to win the game.
Yeah, and Todd, that easily could have still been the exact same play, just a dart that goes through Gabe Davis's hands and falls incomplete. And the Bills are at least getting a field goal there. And let's say Gabe Davis does catch that and turns it into a touchdown. Then the Broncos are down 7-3. And we haven't seen Sean Payton stick with the running game when the Broncos aren't in control of a game. The Broncos ran the ball 40 times compared to 20 passes against the Chiefs, ran the ball 40 times compared to 30 passes against the Bills. But they were dominating. They were owning both of those games pretty much from the start to the end. And so it's easy to play your formula of football. And so how do you prevent that from getting out of hand? Well, you make plays on defense like this.
Making big plays. Making big plays. All right, this is the second quarter. Starts the second quarter. We got 3rd and 4 on a crucial drive for the Denver Broncos. They're doing good driving down the field, but this is where Russ becomes Russ, and he's really started playing at his best. So the Bills have a pretty good defense lined up. They're in man-to-man, and they have a spy right here giving help But one of the things that Sean was telling Russ is like, hey, if it's not there, take off and run. And when you see the O-line give great protection right here, they create this pocket. They push everybody by. And what Russ has the ability to do is that if you don't have a D lineman that's here spying, or this guy gets too deep in his spy, there is nothing but open field right here that Russ can really take advantage of. And this is where he's able to be his best. This is 3rd and 4. You guys are driving down the field. If you get a sack here or hold the ball too long, the drive is over. But instead, Russ finds the open grass and is able to, scramble for 10 yards. And look at this field. He ends up sliding here, which I feel like he could have got a couple more yards. But, better safe than sorry.
He's a quarterback.
He's a quarterback. I was ready for him to lay his shoulder into this guy. But this is what Russ is good at. And this is really hard as a defense to defend because everybody's out in their zone. Everybody's out in coverage. And there's just this gaping hole left by the D line because the O lineman knows, like, hey, make them go around you. You don't have to, be the best O lineman or best blocker in the league. But if these guys go around you, Russ is going to have a great running lane to run through and find space. And that's what I love about Russ's game right now.
And that's just something that Nathaniel Hackett last year told Russ, like, no, look through all 5-year progressions. And then maybe you can run. I love that Sean is not doing that. In fact, like you said, you read the lips on the sideline. He's telling him, just take off if it's there, and boom, it was there. One more thing I loved about this play. This was the first time I noticed Von Miller in the game, and I noticed it because of how Garrett Bowles just played right into him. Von Miller was lined up over Garrett Bowles on this play, I believe. Von tries to take off and get behind Garrett Bowles, and Bowles just said, okay, if you're just going to speed rush, I'm just going to push you all the way downfield. And it was a great play. Yep.
There it is.
I mean, look at all that room.
It's too much room. And it's too easy. And this is the same plays that start happening towards the 3rd and 4th quarter of the game. Now they decided, okay, we're going to leave a spy here, and then this is where all those flips to Samaje start coming. It's literally unguardable. You can't account for both of us. So I think when Russ is able to use his legs, the Broncos are very, very deadly.
See, I stepped up my game too, Todd. You can tell you have a lot more screenshots in there things you actually want to see.
Yeah, you're doing good, man.
Really quick, do you know who the 3rd leading receiver is on the Broncos?
It's a running back.
There's a running back. There's a running back.
It's Samaje.
It's the Broncos' 3rd running back.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
That's the thing, though, is he's not the 3rd running back by, like, snaps.
Yeah.
Like, he's still getting more snaps than Jaleel. It's just weird that they never hand him the ball. He has, like, 4 carries this season, but, 30 catches?
And it's when Jaleel's on the field, he's getting the ball.
Yep.
And when he's not going to get the ball, he's just simply not on the field.
Yeah. I think Samaje is the best, I guess, pass protecting back, which also makes him dangerous in the passing game because he's so good at breaking tackles. I think he has Javonte-esque to him and his ability to evade blockers, break tackles, and get those really, really crucial yards. This is 4th and 2. This is the great touchdown to Cortland.
Baby.
You got man-to-man, and Cortland just simply runs away from his guy. But the great thing about this is Russell Wilson really does a great job of making Lawson, that's the name, right?
Yep.
Miss. He should have been sacked right here.
Yep.
He does a great job of giving him a little shake and bake and then being able to flip his hips and find Cortland for an absolutely stellar catch. I mean, he's dragging his toes now. Like, he doesn't even have the ball yet. This is a phenomenal catch by Cortland, and I think this is what Cortland does best. I mean, he has 7 touchdowns already this season, and all of them I feel like were miraculous plays. Like, they weren't easy by any means. It's him during the scramble drill with Russell Wilson. I feel like they have a great connection because, his route is probably supposed to stop somewhere in this area, but he sees Russell continue to run and just continues to run away from his guy, knows where the sideline end is because he's a smart wide receiver, and he makes great plays. So had to highlight this one because Russell and Cortland have a great connection right now.
I love this.
Look at that.
Look at that. That is insane. And you see that play start at the 8-yard line. Russ is at like the 21 or the 22. The play is totally busted, and that is vintage Russ right there. And you mentioned the toe drag. He was doing it before the ball even got there. I don't know. I'm sure it's happened before. I don't remember any time that I've ever seen that before. Just what incredible football IQ from Sutton there.
I mean, even Javonte's trying to get a look at it. Like, how are you doing that, man? That's crazy. All right. Let me see. Oh, this next one. This is some elite DB play. I'm sure my boy TJ, who was on the show yesterday, Chris would have loved this one. This is Fabian Moreau, absolutely doing a great job in coverage. They're playing cover 3 once again, and he is just doing a great job staying on the chop shoulder of Stephon Diggs. And Josh Allen forces this throw. I think they're trying to get Stephon going, and Fabian does a great job of jumping this route. He stays top shoulder, and then once he sees the ball throw, he jumps this route. And I think this is excellent DB play. This is something that the Broncos didn't have the first couple of weeks of the season. And shout out to him. I think he's done a great job coming on and really making his presence felt. I don't know what's going on in that DB room, but they are finding a way to get their hands on the ball and create turnovers, and they're doing a great job of it right now.
I think the one bad thing about what's going on in this DB room is the Broncos should lose their defensive backs coach, Christian Parker, after this year. I mean, he's already for like a couple of years kind of been that guy that's, almost getting interviews for defensive coordinating jobs. He absolutely should be a defensive coordinator after this year, because you just look at what he's been able to do throughout the years. But then this year, I mean, Jaquan McMillan, next Chris Harris Jr. potentially. Fabian Moreau comes out of nowhere and is now, I thought he was going to fall off after his first good game. I was like, okay, well, against the Chiefs, they're probably going to pick him apart. Okay, and then this game for sure, when Stephon Diggs, they put him over there to move him away from Pat Surtain. No, Fabian Moreau's playing incredible.
Really good.
I am now questioning if there's going to be a drop-off, which is just amazing.
That's what it feels like for the whole team. We keep waiting for them to fumble the bag or fall off a cliff, and they continue to come ready to play, man. It's really inspiring.
I think this week is going to be the big test, because you've got, obviously, Justin Jefferson, but also Jordan Addison is playing incredible football. Like KJ Osborne just makes play after play after play.
Yep.
TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson, too. Yeah, there'll be some situations. So, obviously, like, nothing but good things to say about Fabian Jaquan at this point. If you make it through that game and you look the way you have, they might actually have a pretty great secondary that they can trust going forward.
And here's some reason for hope, even though I do agree with you that the Vikings from player 1 to 5, like receiving-wise, including Hawkinson in there, are maybe the best in the NFL. They've got Josh Dobbs. Maybe the magic continues another week, because he has played great the first 2 weeks. But again, the Cardinals benched Josh Dobbs for undrafted rookie making his first NFL start. Like, Josh Dobbs wasn't great 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So there's reason to believe that the Broncos defense is going to give them a lot of fits.
I think they'll come with it.
Yeah.
They'll come ready to play.
Me too.
Speaking of the Broncos defense, I think this play, isn't really highlighted enough. We talk about the 4 turnovers. To me, this is actually another turnover. You got 4th down in the NFL. When you take the ball away, it's like getting a pick right here. And now your offense has the ball and they have the ability to go score. Personally, as a defender, I hate the new analytics. When I came in the league, there was like 1 or 2 head coaches. Like maybe Andy Reid likes to go for it. Maybe old boy at the Eagles like to go for it. But besides that, if you get a team to 4th and 1, they're putting the ball like we're off the field. But now everybody loves to go for it.
You hate it from a defender's perspective, because it just gives the offense that one more chance?
Yeah, because you actually got to defend for 4 plays. Like before, you knew like 3. We need 3 good plays, and we're off the field. Like now, it's tough on defenses. But the Broncos step up. Let me go back here. They're manned up here. They're trying to have everybody lined up. You see Justin Simmons has a man. Everybody's manned up, and they're playing great defense. They're able to flush Josh Allen out the pocket. I know we didn't get to him a lot, but I feel like we affected him on the plays that counted and the plays that matter. He ends up scrambling and trying to find Justin's man, and he creates a really bad throw. And this is a great play, I feel like, for the defense, because getting off the field on 4th down when it's literally like make or break. They were putting together some good plays again on this drive, and the defense finds a way to get off the field. So not just the 4 turnovers, you got plays like this and small plays that really help the Broncos really win this game.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm sure Vance is telling his guys, man, we actually had 5 turnovers, because we're going to count that one. Zach Allen did a great job getting pressure there. And then field position. The Broncos got the ball in Bill's territory because of the Broncos defense right there.
Yeah, it's all about field position. Like, when you're able to start in your opponent's territory, like that most of the time it leads to points. I don't think it led to points right there. So I think that's maybe one more area we need to clean up a little bit. So it's the run game, and then it's also capitalizing when their defense does give us the ball, because we have 4 turnovers on 6 points. Like, we got to do better in that area, because we should have blew the Bills out with that many turnovers.
They had a couple of those, like those short punts where they could have gone for it on 4th down. And so, like, that obviously not an excuse. Like, you just pick it up in 3 plays and keep moving. But it's tough for an offense when they're not given those opportunities. And it all worked out great. I pulled these numbers yesterday. On average, the Bills started their possessions at their own 24. The Broncos started at their own 41.
Crazy.
Like, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it's because of the defense, obviously. The offense consistently getting a couple of first downs and flipping the field. And then Marvin Mims and the kicking game. Like,
Speaking of Marvin Mims, here he is right here. And this is why, another reason why the Broncos were so successful, you talked about, is field position. If you can start with the ball on the 41-yard line, like, that will lead to points and a lot of points. And this is him just making a play. This is a 31-yard return in the 3rd quarter. The game is tied. Like, this is a super important return, and he just finds a way to make guys miss. This is not blocked perfectly. You see that he has to, I think this was a tackle. This was a tackle. I think this guy tries to get his hands on him, but he is just like, I'm not going down. You got to find another way. And he's able to break this out to the right side and get the Broncos into really, really good field position. Like I said, this was not blocked up good, but this is all Marvin Mims saying, I'm better than you. You're not going to take me down, and I'm going to find green grass. And I know that the Broncos really benefited from the field position from the turnovers, but Marvin Mims had a fantastic night again last night. No touchdowns, but these are the kind of plays that really put your team in a position to win.
Please get him some good touches on offense.
He doesn't even need it. Just keep doing this. If you can keep doing this, that's all we need.
Yep.
Man, it is a mistake for teams to kick to him, whether it's in the punt game, whether it's in the kickoff game. Every team should just say, we're kicking it out of the end zone on kickoffs, and we're going to try to just pin you on the sideline with punts, because he's just so good.
It's sad, but I feel like that moment's coming.
Yeah.
Like, where they're just going to be kicking the sideline. Like, it is what it is, man. But he's earning it because he's that dominant.
He is. And then Sean's going to have to get him the ball on offense, because teams aren't letting him
and he
do
actually
it on defense.
Improved his
Or
average
special
last
teams.
night. Took it from 20.1 to 20.7. Still first in the
Man.
NFL on punt returns.
Yeah,
Man, Marvin Mims is primo. And if you want a primo sandwich, check out our friends over at Primo Hoagies, where you can go there for lunch today. You can go there for dinner, take the family, or if you want a party tray, you can order it in advance for your football watching this weekend, whether you're watching college ball, whether you're watching the Broncos on Sunday night. You probably don't want to cook for that game, so just get a tray, a party tray over at primohoagies.com, where they've got delicious sandwiches. I mean, we had a couple people tag us over the weekend. Every single sandwich from there looks incredible. Their menu is huge, and they've got multiple locations in Denver and Centennial, so check them out over at primohoagies.com to find their locations and to order that party tray. It's not just a hoagie, it's a primo.
And if you've been hurt or seriously injured and you weren't at fault, call our friends over at Backus and Shanker. If you were at fault, you better hope that you are not going against Backus and Shanker, because they will take you down, because they win for their clients. They've been winning for clients in Colorado for over 25 years. They've won over $1 billion for their clients, to be specific. And they have a really great thing that they do where you don't pay any money until they win money for your case. And they have offices all around Colorado, including Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, Fort Collins. So give our friends over at Backus and Shanker a call. If you've been in any kind of accident, including car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, truck, smash the 222-2222. Reach out to our friends over at Backus and Shanker.
It's criminal how many people we have watching and how few likes we have. We might have to send Backus and Shanker after you guys. Hit us with a thumbs up. It's free, just like Backus and Shanker, free. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a ton. Also, check out, you want Pastor Tan shirt? We've got them in stock. If you want one, click the link in our description. Go to the DNVR locker to find everything there. And also,
just restocked on those as well.
We just restocked on the Pastor Tan. Dang, we just got them, and now we're restocking already. I love it.
So I pulled up the kick return stats. The current kick return average leader is a former Bronco. Can you guess who it is?
At the Chiefs.
Nope.
Montrell Washington.
No, that's a good
not
guess.
Him.
Wrong position.
Deontay Spencer, I heard, is having a baby soon. So, not him,
So
but
not him. No.
his wife.
Still wrong position.
wrong position.
Yeah.
So it's a
So it's not a wide receiver.
cornerback.
It's not a wide
Andrew
receiver.
Beck?
It's Andrew Beck. Andrew Beck.
What
He has
a-
an 85-yarder.
Yeah, that's a great
That's his
trivia
only
question.
return. Mims is 6th, and 4 of the 5 in front of him have only had 1 return, so they wouldn't even qualify for the stats. He's going to be the AFC's like Pro Bowler returner,
Should be.
which is pretty cool.
That's crazy.
It is,
It's
and
so
I mean,
cool.
I think Tremont Smith is making a pretty big case to be the special teamer too. So
Dang.
we'll
Dang.
see. We'll see.
Broncos special teams good this year. How about that? And the special teams, actually, I mean, the kicking game, not good yesterday, but they still had the game-winning kick, which has got to
Yeah.
feel good for Wil Lutz.
Like, how do you even grade the special teams yesterday? They screw up the 2 extra points.
Yep.
I guess it was special teams who jumped off sides, and so the Bills went for the 2-point conversion, so that they basically cost 3 points.
Yeah.
So it's like missing a field goal. But you have these massive returns, so I wonder how many points that's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, what's
That's a
this
tough
game
one.
like for Wil Lutz in terms of what's the equivalent for an inside linebacker?
Probably a missed tackle that gives a run like for like 30, 35 yards, and they get a touchdown out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then some way towards the end of the game, you force a fumble that puts our offense on
Yeah.
like the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like how the game went.
Then how do you feel after the game?
All I'm thinking about is the forced fumble.
Yep, so you're good. You're good. It's all good
You're
vibes.
watching film just like skip over the first play, just get to that forced fumble. That's all you worry
When the
about.
coach is yelling at you for that first one, you're like, yeah, let's continue. Let's get to the end. Okay, let's get to the comments. We've got a lot of super chats rolling in right now. We have one super chat, I should say, from our guy Foster. Z Foster says, Hank, the cat's about to smoke
no.
those scarf-wearing boys from Missoula.
No, that's
Can you respond?
yeah, they're all hype. Like there's that's why Montana State is like way up there in the rankings. They I don't know, had a good season last year, whatever. But coming into this year, it's like South Dakota State's #1, but Montana State, right there. Meanwhile, what? Montana State's 1-2 against teams with winning records. Congrats, guys. Like, they're not that good. It's all just hype with those guys. Meanwhile, Montana's built a pretty sick football team. And for those who don't pay attention, so Montana's #3 right now. Montana State's #4. First time this has ever been a top 5 matchup, or first in the past 60 years since the Big Sky started. Also the first in the past 60 years that this has decided the outright Big Sky Conference title. And then whoever wins will jump #3 and go to #2. Home field until the championship against SDSU.
You want to say this
So
to
it's a
Alex
big game.
Singleton's face?
Montana
Alex-
State, they're not a real team. All they do is run the ball. It's
Exactly.
like running-
Exactly.
Oh,
no
you want to
idea.
say this to
Exactly.
Alex Singleton's
I'll say
face?
it to his face.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I haven't checked. I know going into last week, Montana had the #1 run defense in the country. It's like 80 yards a game or so. And they should still be #1, I'd imagine. If not, they're top 5.
We're clipping this, sending it to Alex.
Oh, I have plenty to say to Alex. We've already been talking.
I asked Alex today about his near interception. He says, "Man, I got to practice my toe tapping,
tap.
and I have zero spatial awareness."
Better get in there with Cortland.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll teach him.
Talk about the complete opposite. Actually, it was George Pickens Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago, I think, where, do you guys remember the play? He was in the end zone, had like
Oh,
2
yeah.
yards and only got 1 foot in.
Yep.
That was like, Alex Singleton, fine, you're a linebacker. You barely get interceptions. You probably never practice toe tap. I mean, do you practice that?
No, you don't.
Not often. So you don't practice it. But a receiver not being able to do it?
Yeah.
That's bad. Cortland
Yeah.
showed him what's up last night.
Alex is so close. That was
That's
a tough
true.
one
That's
too.
true. It was
Like
close.
it was a ways out of bounds.
And he was like jumping in order to get
Yeah.
it, so he was
Yeah.
high off the ground.
Yeah, he came closer than I would have expected, which isn't like a shot, but like
That was definitely a shot.
No. I think he gave it a good effort. That's a better way to phrase it. That's a better way to phrase it. That was a great attempt.
Henry's getting a little scared.
I'm not
Love it.
scared at all. Somebody's scared.
We got a couple questions on the website. It says, Nash Bronco says, so much to talk about with this game, but I think the win comes down to one thing. Coaching. The Visor managed the game well, stuck to the run, running the ball, and had his guys prepared. Shout out to Vance Joseph. I suggested they leave him on the tarmac in Miami, and I was wrong. Also, hate to say it, but after all the Von talk last week, he was a non-factor. Love him, but I'm glad this wasn't his breakout game.
Yeah,
I agree. Hopefully you
too.
save that for next week.
it's kind of sad in some ways. Like you want for Vaughn, like it's a big one, but I don't know. definitely not worth the Broncos losing the game over. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Yep.
KW7 says, what's good, Broncos country? Woke up in a state of pure ecstasy this morning. That go out and pound your chest kind of mood. I know this might be the win talking, but trading that first rounder for Sean is actually worth it, in my opinion. The win versus the Chiefs and this win versus the Bills 100% is the best 2 weeks in the last 8 years, and it's only because of him. Can't believe after the start of the season, we're talking playoffs, baby. Give Vance Joseph his damn flowers. Hashtag Broncos country. Let's ride.
It's so crazy how everything is just swapped in a couple weeks. It is crazy.
Some of those are the just have to remember all these feelings and next year, either when they're 5-1 and we're saying oh, they're winning the Super Bowl, just be like, okay, they're good. We'll see how things go. Or if they're 1-5, it's no, not over yet. It's just gotta be patient.
Yeah, I don't know because if the Broncos finish the season like the Lions last year, let's say they get the winning record, just miss the playoffs, but they finish the season 8-2 or something crazy like that. The Lions then started this season 5-1, 6-1 or something. I don't think anyone in Detroit was saying, well, let's just see how the season plays. No, they're all saying Super Bowl.
No,
they're
Lions fans are not confident. Lions fans have been living no. That is the saddest group of people.
You think they're still sad right now?
Are they really?
Yeah. Man, Dan Campbell watching the end of that game. That's a dude you want to play for.
You want to know who's really sad? Bills fans.
Yes.
Our art director's a Bills fan.
Yeah.
He's been so down bad this year. He hates life.
He is down bad. Figgies01 says, gotta agree with Zach. I love this comment. It's amazing that we got the dub while not even playing really well. The Chiefs game, we legit beat them. But last night, we didn't deserve to win that game. Can't always count on the other team to poop their pants as hard as the Bills did last night. So
they deserved
Henry
to win.
did or the Bills did?
They soiled themselves.
That was Spencer's baby.
Soiled themselves.
Yes.
Spencer's baby. Yeah.
So much so that they fired their OC this morning.
Yeah.
The Broncos definitely deserve to win that game. By them. I don't even think it's a conversation. How many turnovers? 5 turnovers? 4 turnovers. Four turnovers because there was a turnover on downs. There was the pick that wasn't caught. The Broncos absolutely should have won that game. If the Bills won that game, that would be insane.
And just to start it off with Jaquan, that wasn't the Bills messing up. That was the Broncos making a play. Now, the Justin Simmons interception, great play by Justin to make a play on the ball, but Gabe, you gotta catch that ball. So the Broncos did make some plays, and then they also had some really good breaks. And final comment coming in from our friend Arvada Luke says, we know it wasn't a Von revenge game, but we failed to think about Latavius Murray having a little vengeance, which almost happened. Great to get that dub. It's crazy how much a good Broncos team changes the sports vibe of this town. Let's ride.
Did Pat ever tackle Latavius? I don't think so. Yeah, I was keeping an eye out just so I could claim that tackle.
Oh, because you warned him about Latavius.
He wants to go low. But
you and your warnings, man.
I know. Well, see, because I was 1 for 1 coming into this, 2 for 2, and I'd be, I don't know, Broncos might need to hire me.
You
to be.
were 1 for 1. Stop.
Yeah, I was. I said, watch out for Samori. What happens? Game-winning play. They throw it to Samori, pick it off, and win.
It doesn't.
That was my warning. And if Pat had gotten a 3rd down tackle on Latavius, goes low, chops him down, I could have claimed it. I'm about to start game grades.
Hank's warnings are hey, be careful. There's a pebble that might trip you on the way out. Just be aware.
That's a good warning.
It is.
How about Pat Surtain and this Broncos team just shutting down Stephon Diggs? 3 catches, 34 yards. When Pat was on him, 1 catch for 11 yards. Not only against one of the best receivers in the game, but against one of the receivers that gets fed the most. Because if he doesn't, he starts complaining. If he's not complaining, his brother is complaining on Twitter, saying it's time to get Stephon out of there. The Broncos broke the Bills' offense in so many ways last night, to the point where they fired their offensive coordinator. Wild. What a game.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And what a vibe this is in Broncos country. Speaking of Pat Surtain, stay tuned tomorrow. Maybe he'll be on.
Interesting.
Or maybe we'll just have this mannequin of him in a shirt. Maybe he'll be wearing the shirt with a mannequin of him in a shirt next to it.
Somebody, I think, was it Dre?
Baldy.
I think Dre's idea was what we do is get a picture of you in front of that wall wearing that shirt and make a shirt out of it. And then I wear that shirt. That's you wearing that shirt in front of that wall. and then Todd does it, and then like Dre does it, and Yaya does it, and we just wind up with
Shirtception?
shirts all the way down.
I love it. I love it. We're getting weird now. And that just shows that the Broncos vibes are great. So tune in tomorrow. We'll be back 11 or 12 on YouTube. Thank you all so much for rolling with us. This thing is about to get extra fun. Have a great Tuesday.
We all silly like the mayor.